the Upshot, multi-world disc golf podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield on this Tuesday, September 16th. Hit the lights. Josh.
I see a jersey.
Go Knicks, baby. Go Knicks. You ready?
I'm ready. It looks so good.
We got that Calvin Heimberg custom Knicks jersey, number 49, representing the 49 under par that Calvin shot for his first major. This coming courtesy of Josh Mansfield, official NBA swingman jersey, and I will wear this to all Knicks games moving forward.
It's free advertising for your pod. I mean, because people are
they're gonna be like,
they're gonna ask you,
Heimberg. Yeah. Who's Heimberg? People are gonna be, is that you?
Yeah. It's and then you're just gonna. I'm
gonna wear a Calvin wig and then say it's me.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, you got to pull up a video of this like lanky, floppy-haired engineer from Florida and be like, "This dude slings a disc." Let me tell you,
wear stilts under my pants and then like bring discs and sign them.
You need to do they have like mini pizzas or something at the stadium? You just need to start slinging pizzas around the stands.
I could get pizza minis.
There you go.
I could get some pizza minis printed up.
Gotta give those out with QR codes to the Jomez video.
Hell yeah. Anyway, thank you, Josh. A reminder for anyone who is not aware, Josh and I made a 10-1 bet. I bet that Calvin would win a major in 2025. Josh was adamant that he would not. I got 10-1 odds, and I got this lovely Knicks jersey out of it. So congrats to Calvin once again. That was a sick tournament. That was a sick putt, and I'm glad to have it memorialized.
It's a good like I've done bets and it's like, oh yeah, I'll Venmo you $20 or like it's a disc. That's fine. This is a good one. I'm happy to know that like you have this jersey now out of the bet. So,
and I did not own a Knicks jersey before this. So
really, so even better. Yeah. Okay. It's gonna be even sweeter when you come out to Salt Lake and we go to a hockey game. So
yeah, wait, when does that bet run up?
That bet runs up. We're halfway through the bet. Okay. Like this year's the 3-year mark.
This is the third year of 5 years. Correct. Ricky needs to win a major.
Correct.
Before 2020, the end of 2027. And when he does, Josh will come to New York and take me to dinner. And I might wear this jersey.
And it was a Knicks game.
Maybe, it's a Knicks game. Okay, we'll go to a Knicks game. I will wear this. I will make you explain to everyone who Calvin Heimberg is and who Ricky Wysocki is. And we will continue.
Okay. Well, we'll see. You're going to be enjoying. I hope you got to get a mammoth hat while you're here.
Oh, I will. They look sick.
They're so cool. It's a great logo.
It's a great logo. Speaking of great logo, this is a perfect opportunity for me to mention this because we don't really have a 30-second rule segment today, but I want to bring this up. New logo for Sophia Donachie just dropped, and the graphic designer posted over on Reddit with a bunch of images. I assume his name is Henry Pearson because it's Henry Pearson. I just rolled over his name on Reddit. He is the tour director of the Disc Golf Tour Down Under, down in is that New Zealand? I think either Australia or New Zealand.
It's one of those down under countries.
I mean, when I hear Down Under, I think Australia, but then I know that New Zealand is the bigger destination.
Right.
So I'm going to go with New Zealand.
I get the complication here, and I don't have an answer for you.
I'm going to Google it so I can be accurate and not have to mulligan myself. He lives in Auckland.
Okay.
So, yes, New Zealand.
New Zealand, yes.
Anyway, he is also a freelance design and media specialist, and he designed a logo for Sophia Donachie, and it is extremely cool. Take a look if you're watching on YouTube. It's an S. It's a white S. I mean, I guess it's shown in both white and red, depending on what
white or red. Yeah, it depends on the merch what the off color is.
Canadian maple leaf, kind of like cut out partially in front and behind the S. It's really nice.
This
is as good as it gets for me.
S-tier logo.
Yes. A literal S-tier logo.
Dang, I did not even just did not even cross my mind, man. Yeah, but I agree. That's one of I like AB's Snakehead. I think that's still probably the best logo in disc golf.
This is right there though, Josh.
But this is second place.
This is cool. I mean, AB's crosses the same threshold, which is like it's cool enough to just wear it on a hat, and and people will be like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah.
So, shout out to Sophia Donachie and Henry Pearson for making the logo.
If I was Canadian, this probably would surpass AB's.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna sell a lot of this merch. It's
up because down here people see it, and I'd have to be like, "Oh yeah, it's a Canadian disc golf player." Up there, like people are like, "Yo, it's kind of a sick logo. Like, what is it?"
You could say it's Saskatchewan. You could say it's whatever. Your name is Sam. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm Sam.
Yeah.
I wear my own logo."
Right. Anyway, it's a great logo.
Should
we talk about the thing?
We're prattling on and avoiding talking about what this was going to be a simple show. We're going to talk GMC. We're going to have Steve Dodge on. Still happening. Steve Dodge is going to join us, talk about the playoffs, talk about MVP Open. Always fun to have Steve on. But we got news bombed yesterday, and already have a Rapid Reacts up for subscribers that I recorded yesterday morning. So go check that out for further thoughts. But Kristin Lätt announcing on Instagram that she's not going to come back and play for the rest of the season, which is no surprise considering she dropped from Throw Pink. Yep. But she also said she does not plan to resume touring in 2026 and says she has, quote, no conclusive plans beyond that. And I will continue reading from her Instagram post. Before this season even began, I had been wrestling with inner conflict whether to go on tour due to family matters. I thought I could set those feelings aside while competing, but I ultimately found myself facing multiple injuries and severe anxiety. This made me realize that I don't currently have the capacity to maintain the same rhythm, and that change is not only necessary, but long overdue. Deep down, I know my heart has been longing for it. Closing this chapter and stepping into the next has not been easy, but I feel at peace with my choice. I am excited to create space for new experiences. I love playing disc golf and will stay active in the community, but looking to lean into other roles like organizing events with my husband and sharing my knowledge with others, while also having the opportunity to focus on my family and home. So, Josh, I think it's fair to say that, at least for now, Kristin Lätt is retiring from professional disc golf. And that doesn't rule out the possibility of her returning in the future or playing some events, but she is no longer a touring pro for now. This is obviously massive, massive news. We haven't seen a player of this caliber just decide to drop off tour from ever in disc golf. I mean, I'm sure you can come up with examples of good players who stopped playing or stopped touring, but for a superstar, number one in the world, multiple years, greatest player of a generation, to suddenly just hang him up is shocking. So I want to just get your thoughts first on what this means.
Yeah, it reminds me, and it's not even the same circumstances, but it reminds me a lot of sorry all you not other sports fans. It reminds me a lot of Andrew Luck's retirement. Right? A like talent that we were talking about as being, in like their role. Andrew Luck was a lot younger, but same thing in terms of like, even when, and the thing that always stood out to me about Kristin and always made it so complicated was even when Kristin was like at her worst, she's finishing in the top 10, top 5 podium, right? And that's what made conversations around Kristin so difficult, because you had to have been blind to have not been seeing it this season, right? To see the struggles, to see the mental anguish at times, to see the injuries and the effect that had, but then go and check her PDGA page or her DGPT standings page and go, oh, but she's still great. And it always made for such a complicated conversation. And it's part of why this feels so, like, it almost feels like you can take a breath of fresh air for her. It's like, wow, like you get to, like, congratulations, right? You don't, it feels like we get to put aside like the, you know, what do we make of Kristen right now, and how's she doing? And it's also something that I think is like, it feels like there is now a hole in the sport, especially on just like the professional, like just the side of like, we lost a superstar. And I don't just mean a superstar in terms of performance, right? Because, you know, I address that. I'm talking a superstar in terms of the person who was marketed as the face of the European Disc Golf Festival this year, the face of a player who would have been on every world's advertisement in 2029 if she was still playing. The face of, you know, someone who's making Instagram posts about her Porsche sponsorships, right? That's a complicated discussion about what that looks like moving forward, and it feels like there's a void in the sport as a result.
It's obviously understandable. You know,
Yes.
I can't say that like this wasn't a possibility, or that like it's coming out of the thing that was crazy about the Andrew Luck thing is that it truly came out of nowhere. And for like Europeans, or he was a star quarterback. He was 29 years old, playing for the Indianapolis Colts. He was coming off a great season.
2 concussions, or like
he had dealing with a little bit of injury stuff, and just boom, he was done.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, the NFL, and if you're concerned about, you know, your health, your
very different there.
But let's think about, in the context of 2025, a decision like this, considering that we saw massive mental strains on Kristen, this is a decision based on health and spending more time with family. That's not cliche. That's not something you say because you're, you know, actually just not good anymore, you're washed or whatever. Kristen obviously is still capable of being the best player in FPO for years to come. Like that, from a competitive standpoint, it is possible.
Yeah.
But think about this, right? She's already accomplished basically everything that there is to accomplish. She literally is the only player to sweep in the majors in the modern era.
Yes.
She has won 2 world championships. She eclipsed the 1,000 rated FPO mark and set the all-time bar at 10:03. Earlier this year, she was 10:03. And she was ahead at the European Disc Golf Festival with 1 round to play. And I think what we saw there was not just like the pressure of Estonia and playing at home. I think we saw the culmination of multiple years of not doing anything besides prioritizing disc golf, basically collapsing in on Kristen a little bit. And that severe anxiety is not just a product of the competitive pressure, which is kind of what we tend to talk about on this podcast and we think about in terms of sports, but it's also spending weeks to months away from home. When you're now newly married, you have a daughter at home, you're half a world away, you know, you don't necessarily like have tons of support on the road. Obviously Silver out there and she has friends, but like it can be a lonely place even with friends traveling around, driving in the United States hours at a time on the highways. It's a grind. And, you know, perhaps thinking about wanting to have another kid, newly married now, you know, just past the 1 year mark with Silver. Like there's a lot of things. And it's not like she's 25.
Right.
She's in her mid 30s.
Yep.
And I don't feel like it is surprising that given the mental struggles that she was having earlier this year that caused her to literally drop out of the World Championships, that she's prioritizing not having that happen anymore. And it's going to be an incredible legacy that she leaves. I mean, it was going through and looking at her accomplishments for the article that I wrote up about this. It's just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she wins her first major in 2019. She comes back after COVID, kind of like halting progress, and wins 26 Elite Series and major tournaments in 4 years. Grand Slam sweep, has had the number one spot in the top of the world rankings since the inception of the modern system in early 2024. 2 world titles. She has the highest winning percentage at Elite Series and major events among any player with at least 3 starts in disc golf history, men or women. 38.6% win rate. She's 3rd all time in major wins. She's 5th all time in combined Elite Series and major wins. And she did it in 5 years, basically.
Most money ever earned.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the most impressive 4-year stretch of disc golf that we have ever seen.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Emma in our Discord said she burned 10 times as bright for 1/10 the time.
Yeah. And it's a level of like that like it feels like she is what's most remarkable. It's not just the wins, because like Gannon Burr's winning a lot too, right? It's that the entire FPO division felt like it orbited around Kristin. Every conversation about FPO was in the context of Kristin. Again and again and again. It didn't matter what you talked about. It had to involve Kristin. And that level of like permeance in the division and because of just how dominant and how good you are is it's something that may never be achieved in any division, in either division ever again. I remember one stretch back like 2024, she had like 10 tournaments in a row, 11 tournaments in a row where she finished first or second. Like did not finish outside top 2 for 3 months, 4 months.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And, rightly so. Pros pouring out their thanks and, well wishes to Kristin in the Instagram comments. Her sponsor, Latitude 64, by the way, she was coming to the end of a contract, as we've talked about many times, has said basically that, we're totally supportive of your decision, and we're going to still try to support you the best we can. That's to sum it up. So hard to say exactly what that means, but I would imagine that there will continue to be Kristin discs, and they just launched a bag. Like, products will be available for purchase.
Yep.
And I imagine that Kristin will still make a nice little chunk of disc golf related money, at least next year. And
end of this year.
Josh, I think I want to give you props because you said this could happen. Like 2 years ago. 2 years ago. You came on this podcast and said Kristin could walk away at the end of this contract. And I was like, what are you talking about, dude?
I got wrecked.
What are you saying?
I got wrecked.
People crushed you in the Discord, and I thought you were nuts. And yet here we are. Like, literally, this is exactly what you said could happen. That, like, she wants to prioritize family and spending time in Europe. And there's no way to see this as you not being fully correct.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one to like really like relish, because it's like also a very like emotional decision, right? And so like I don't want to like I don't want to relish being right here. But like, Charlie, you talked a little bit about it. But this is exactly, this was when I was at Worlds this year. I walked by one of the one in the apartment Airbnb thing I was staying at. There were some players downstairs, and there were like 6 guys crammed into this apartment sharing an Airbnb. And I saw that, and I'm just like, man, disc golf has come a long way, but this is still like a road warrior sport. Like, sleeping in vans, jamming into hotel rooms and Airbnbs, and it's fun. And I'm sure guys like Gannon and Alden are having a great time. But that's something you like doing in your 20s. That is just like I'm 28, and the thought, like I got a remote job last year, and I was like, oh, like I could go to more disc golf tournaments. And then I was like, man, I don't want to be on the road that much. Even if I don't want to go to like more than an event or two. Like absolute, I like being home too much. Like it just doesn't surprise me. Kristin faced just a new, like, numerous burdens that other players feel, but none had the culmination of pressures that Kristin has. I don't know any disc golfer who has a child the age of Kristin's, right? Where I think as they're getting older, that's more and more difficult, right? I mean,
like, literally, can you name a pro disc golfer with like older children that is full-time touring?
No.
I do not think that exists.
We have a bunch of new
Nate
parents.
Sexton dropped off the tour increasingly as he aged and his children started growing up.
Yes. So she's got the oldest child of any professional touring player. She travels from one of the most difficult locations to get back and forth from home to the U.S. Direct flights, just like, she's got to have layovers. It's just not as big of an airport. So there's a lot of work there. She's also several hours from her home once she flies into the only airport that she could fly into internationally. She just got married. She is massively popular in her home country. She carries tons and tons of sponsors. It's just, and she's in her mid-30s. Like, you take any one of those factors, and if a player said, I'm in my mid-30s, I'm ready to move on to the next chapter in my life, you go, yeah, that makes sense, right? You said, hey, I've got a 13 or 14-year-old kid. It's time for me to spend more time with my family. You go, yeah, okay. If you're like, I'm just sick of traveling to the U.S. this much, I'm going to work on growing the sport in Estonia, we'd go, yeah, that tracks. She has all of it. And she's had all of it for 4 years. And so it just isn't surprising to me. It really isn't. And that I saw that news, I saw the post, and I was not even shocked. I was not even surprised. I didn't want to say it again because I didn't want to beat a dead horse and I didn't want to get just roasted again. But when Kristin said she was taking time off tour, I said to Megan, I said, she's never coming back.
Do you still think that's true? You think she will not play again?
She might play like 2029 Worlds. She might go over for a European Open. Touring Kristin, I don't think we ever see touring Kristin again.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is, like, what does it mean to be touring Kristin? Because, like, I could imagine a world where she plays 3 or 4 Elite Series in Europe, along with the major, and then maybe comes over for some of the tournaments down the stretch of the season in the U.S.
Maybe, but here's the problem.
And like let's say she doesn't play for the entire spring, and then she decides to sign up for one of the European Pro Tours
in 2028.
No, this year
or 2027,
2026.
Oh, you think she comes back next year
to play some European Pro Tour tournament? Why not?
Oh, I don't.
I think what I will say is when she does eventually sign up for a professional tournament, it's going to be amazing. Yeah. Like, we're going to get the tribute video. We're going to get the high. We're going to be all.
Yes.
And like, maybe she won't have been practicing and she won't really do all that much. But like, I'm just saying, I don't necessarily rule out partial competition from Kristin in the future.
I think Kristin has an opportunity to slide into one of the most valuable ambassador roles of the sport. Coordinating and running disc golf in Estonia and making that in a disc golf hub. uh, on like commentating on PDGA Europe. I mean, the doors are open. And I don't think Kristin goes away forever. I don't think she steps away from disc golf forever. I really think she'll stay involved. I just don't think it's going to be in the capacity of a player. And if she unretired in 2027, sorry, but I just don't think it's going to be relevant in terms of competition. 18 months in your mid 30s out of competition with the kind of young talent that's up and coming, like Silva would say, thanks for your entry fee at that point. I think this is the end of professional disc golf, Kristin.
I if I'm being honest, it's wishful thinking on my part to say that she's going to play tournaments next year.
And listen, I'm not opposed. Like I would welcome it as well, right? I just am not as optimistic, I think.
All right, let's talk about what this is going to mean. You know, regardless of whether she plays tournaments or not, like I think it's clear that her professional touring days for now are over. And I just want to double down on what you said, which is, even if you're making 6 to 7 figures, which is where I would, that's obviously a big ballpark range, but like, we know Kristin is making at least $400,000 to $500,000 a year at a baseline minimum, because she's got her contract, which is 125 with Latitude, but she's surely making way more than the baseline contract number. And then she has all these other sponsorships and everything else that's going on, and tournament winnings.
She's got a literal betting company as a sponsor.
Yeah, so she is clearly making. I would probably wager she's making close to $1 million per year US. So this is great money that she's making.
Yeah,
and even with the great money, the choice that is better for her is to not do it, because it is so brutally hard.
Yes. And
it's not like it's 10 or $100 million. You're not flying on a private jet with your family and getting a private tutor to teach your daughter while she's gallivanting around the world with you. Right. Like, you're kind of out there by yourself grinding on what is a week to week, middle of nowhere, rural America tournament series.
Yep.
And it's just not going to be for everyone. And even for the people who have the money to stay in Airbnbs and fly place to place and, be able to go out to dinner every night if you want, like, that doesn't take away from how hard this is. I think the only way to make it work is to do it like Simon and relocate yourself to the United States. That's it.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do that, then it's just not a long-term viable option for people as they get older, get married, have children. Just not.
And I'm glad you brought up Simon, because even like Simon and Macbeth talk about how much they don't want to be away from their families and like the sacrifices that come with playing. And these guys make $1 million a year base. Like, that is their contract. And they're like, man, this is tough. Like, yes. Yep. It disc golf it feels like a young person's game. And I think it's a great point, Charlie. It does not matter the money that you're making. This is still hard.
And at some point you make enough money that you can overcome some of the challenges. Yes. But that money is not existing in disc golf right now.
Yes.
What does this mean for Kristin and her, career, let's say, which has been predicated around being the number one disc golfer?
I think she has enough infrastructure around her in terms of sponsorships and value that she can bring that I mentioned it. Number one, I think she's going to continue, will be involved in disc golf. I would fully expect her to come back and be a part of it. On the other side, I don't see any reason why she couldn't tweak her sponsorship agreements and take on different roles with some of the non-endemic sponsors in Estonia and continue to do and advantage for them, right? Her name still has enough power that she could run a couple years with Cool Bets, that she could run a couple years with Nike, and do modeling and ads for Nike apparel. Like, I just think that those opportunities, combined with her Latitude 64 deal, I bet Kristin stuff just flies off the shelves, right? If Latitude 64 is smart, they're going to have a commemorative, like 2021 to 2024 disc or a Kristin career disc come out in the next week. Free. I would be shocked, blown away if they're not thinking about this, because those would sell like hotcakes. Her bag is going to sell like hotcakes. I mean, Kristin's going to get a nice fat bonus to ride off into retirement with. And so I just am not worried about her. And I think she's going to get to pick what she wants her future to be in disc golf.
Yes.
And that's going to be really valuable, I think.
I think, thinking about the impact on FPO, well, first of all, Missy Gannon is now the highest rated touring professional in the world. And just like that.
Yeah. At Silva Saarinen is your number 1 ranked player in the world.
That's right. Now, obviously, officially, Kristin still holds those cards, but it changes the competitive landscape. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we already had a couple months there where it felt like Kristin was more one of the pack rather than sitting out there at 1,000+ rated in the rarefied air. So we've seen what it looks like when Kristin is not at her absolute A game best. But now we have a world where there is going to be a lot of parity at the top in FPO. When you look at the registrations for this weekend, just looking at the current ratings, you have 6 players signed up for GMC, all 980+ rated, but under 990. They're basically playing at the same level over the last 2 years. Missy, Silva, Holland, Owen, Evelina, and Haley King. And obviously Haley feels like the odd one out because of just the volume of play hasn't been there. But in terms of actual disc golf performance, she's been right there. And that group, any one of those players could win, and it wouldn't shock you on any given week.
Yep. I completely agree.
My concern is what this means for like the media side of things. Will there still be the same kind of spectator interest in FPO? I mean, my mom texted me yesterday. Both of our mothers texted us about the Kristin news, and we're like, when is the reacts? And it was like, chill. But my mom's favorite player is Kristin. And that is going to be true of what?
My mom's favorite player
80% of FPO fans, their favorite player is Kristin. I think it's going to hurt the fandom side of FPO disc golf for some time.
Yeah, I think so too. Silva is the future of disc golf, and Silva needs to continue to grow her brand and her, that presence.
She will never be Kristin.
I don't think so.
And either. She could become the GOAT, and she will never be Kristin. She just doesn't have the personality for it.
I know. It's funny. Someone we were talking. I think someone was talking about this in Discord, and someone mentioned Ida Letomaki, and I don't disagree that Ida has real fan pull potential. I mean, she's just one of those genuine, bubbly, energetic, fun people I have ever met, and she's gonna be great, and she's gonna be great with fans. But it's still not Kristin.
Well, and it's also, she's what, 16?
She's 15.
Let's give her some time before we
got time. You're right. But Kristin was a lot of things as a professional athlete and an ambassador for the sport that you just don't see quite as much. I mean, I see a lot of it in Missy as a personality, but Missy doesn't have the play. She's
a great player, but she hasn't flashed the dominance that we saw from Kristin.
Silva could make a challenge for GOAT. There's no reason that couldn't be the case. But I agree that I don't think Silva is the same personality as Kristin.
No.
Kristin was a unicorn, and that's going to be hard to replicate in FPO.
Yep. I mean, I do think, week to week, FPO is going to be very interesting competitively.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And it might be a boost that's needed. I'm going to be really interested in Charlie, I think the next subject we will talk about is the impact that this has on things like DGN and Jomez and spectatorship. I really, we need to get Jesse and Josiah on for a fandom survey.
The fandom survey data is rolling out very soon.
Yeah, we need to start talking FPO with Kristin gone. I'm sure they're just wishing that they could have seen the data now, right? That they run the survey right now, but it's going to be really interesting to see this data and what that means for FPO.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, for instance, last year, Owen was close to Kristen. Well over 8 out of 10 in terms of fandom score. Silva was up there. Annika Sten, Evelina Missy, Emily Weatherman, all over 7. Madison Walker, Sayananda, Juliana, Ellie Ezra, all around 7. The thing is, like, you can feel positively about a player. You can say, oh, I'm a fan of this player.
Yeah.
But there's just difference between, like, liking a player and there being a superstar. Kristen was a superstar. Kristen was making fans and getting people interested that don't know what the fandom survey is. They don't listen to this podcast. They don't know anything about any of the, the sub storylines. They just see Kristen.
Mm-hmm. And
that is rare, right? It's like if Simon retired. Like, it would be a big deal. And, like, competitively, maybe not, but the superstardom matters. And I just don't see that being replicated anytime soon. As great a superstar as Paige was, I think that Kristen outshone Paige with just, like, doing all of the little things and, like, being incredibly media trained and still speaking honestly, but, like, never making people mad, really. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a hard thing to balance. And I think, Paige rubs people the wrong way sometimes. I think Paige is great and a fascinating character in disc golf, but Kristen had this sort of aura of, like, celebrity that I don't think any other disc golfers ever had, except maybe Macbeth.
Yeah. Completely agree.
What will this mean for Latitude and House of Discs?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Boy, if you're the private equity company that bought House of Discs, you just gotta hate your life right now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a lot of money that's going to be walking out that door. It's interesting because Latitude went out and signed Isaac.
Yep.
But outside of Dynamic Discs, not Dynamic Discs, excuse me, Discmania, House of Discs didn't really have a lot of superstars. They had Isaac, Kristen, and then the Discmania team. But they've kind of let a lot of players kind of go. They haven't re-signed contracts. And I think they've just kind of leaned into having, 2 of the best players in the world. And that was enough. Just for outside, again, Discmania excluded. And with Kristen gone, I mean, it's going to be back to a relevant station for most of House of Discs on the FPO side.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right when you say that they can make a commemorative option of some kind and sell a bunch of them, but, like, that's only going to last you 6 months. I don't think that, I don't know that I see, like, perpetual Climo-esque sales for Kristen merch and gear long run. I could be wrong, but I think it's like, in some ways, Latitude's probably like, thank God we don't have to pay the massive contract that we were going to have to pay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they kind of were going to be able to scale that to the performance from the last 2 years, for instance, kind of like see, like, okay, like, this is what we know we can get. And, like, this is what we think Kristen's worth. And we think she'll agree to this. And, I'm sure there's going to be they can still leverage the relationship there.
Yes.
To have Kristen on the social media, do YouTube videos. Like, I agree that Kristen can kind of choose her own adventure and what she wants to do in disc golf moving forward, and she could still be very present without playing.
Here's what they should do. You talked about Climo-esque, and I think that they should just be explicit about it, and they should say, to recognize the greatness of Kristin Lätt over the past 5 years, we are retiring the Grace as a Tour Series disc, and every Grace we sell moving forward will have Kristin Lätt. Man, I feel like the nostalgia is like getting to me a little bit here, so I just want to keep saying Tatar. Kristin Lätt, and every Grace will have Kristin Lätt 2x underneath moving forward in perpetuity. And then you bump the prices by $2 and you give Kristin $1. Right? Like,
I mean, it's like by far their most popular disc, right?
It is. So you memorialize it. You get people who think it's really cool. Same thing with like the Ken Climo T-Birds and Destroyers and whatever, KC Pro Rocks or whatever else Innova had before he jumped over and made his own brand. But you stick her name on it. You upcharge the Grace forever and always by $2, and you give Kristin $1, and you make people feel good about buying a Kristin disc for the rest of the time. Like, they can do that, and they'd probably make some money from it.
If I'm Kristin, I'm signing on the dotted line for that one.
Without a doubt.
It's like Sexton Firebird, right? I mean, like,
yes.
Nate doesn't really play anymore, and he's still getting that money.
They're going to sell those things for the rest of time.
Yeah, because it's a good disc, and like if you can manage to keep royalties on that disc, which would sell without your name on it, you got to take that opportunity.
Yeah.
I am most concerned about the European Disc Golf Festival.
I'm not.
Tell me why.
If she had retired at the beginning of this year, like she mentioned in her Instagram post, I would be concerned. I don't know this for sure. I wonder if that tournament is the reason she even played this season.
That's a stretch, right?
She said in her Instagram post she was battling with not coming on tour this season.
Yeah. But then did I that will be a very interesting question to ask Kristin when she decides she's ready to do interviews again.
Now, maybe not 100%. You can't tell me that that's not an impactful reason that she chose to play this year, because she's always talked about the importance of representing Estonia.
Yeah, but she still made choices to, she dropped out of the little hype thing before the tournament.
She did.
Which, like, obviously it doesn't matter from a competition standpoint, but
she played.
She did play.
She was struggling, and it was difficult.
She was ahead by 3 strokes with 1 round to play.
But her face was everywhere. I am not worried about this tournament at all. It was a massive success. And you get to ride that momentum without Kristin. I cannot believe that people who watched it and were so excited by it, excited about it, who saw the Superstar event and watched the Estonians win it, right? I just have a hard time believing that anybody who came and tuned in and watched didn't leave with because maybe they came because of Kristin.
But now they'll come back,
they stayed,
even though she's not there.
But they're going to stay because it was one of the most professional sporting events that disc golf has ever had in its history.
I got to say, I mean, I hear you, but at the end of the day, what did we hear the whole time? We need Estonians in contention on the weekend. We need Kristin to be playing well if we want to sell tickets. They need more Estonians to rise up and try to fill the void, I think, if they want to sell tickets. I think it makes the path forward more murky, in my opinion. Finland has superstar players to hang their hat on. I don't really know that Estonia does. I mean, Mallory Vilman's the best Estonian player, right? But now that Kristin's not playing, and he doesn't really come to the U.S. much. He's not really doing media. Like, he's not the same kind of marketable star, and he's a good player. And maybe he'll make the leap. I mean, there's going to be pressure on him probably to do so from his sponsors and maybe even this tournament. But I'm not as sure as you are that things are going to be fine.
Here's the other thing. Will it be? I don't know. I really am confident that I think it's going to be fine. But we should have Matthias on and ask him about this. I'd be curious to hear his thoughts. But Worlds in Estonia isn't for 4 more years.
Yep.
Estonia just gave us the highest rated 12-year-old player ever. His name's Tanil Mahin, I think.
Yeah, that's
not 995 rated 12-year-old.
insane.
Tell me you can't have a 16-year-old from Estonia prodigy who's going to be showing up at Worlds?
There's a lot of time before Worlds.
We've got a lot of time. So, yeah, does next year not have the superstar power? Maybe not, but it also gets to rely on the success of this year. And then we've got some years. I'm not worried. And maybe I'm a little over optimistic, but I was on the ground there, Charlie, and that event, the energy, I mean, it's spectacular. And I think they're going to be fine.
And hey, I mean, Kristin might just play that tournament.
Right.
It's just down the road.
Come commentate. Come announce. Come throw a celebrity first shot. Come give the trophy at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, no, they're fine. I'm not. I mean, I'm sure they wish Kristin was looking me around, but I just am not as worried about it.
All right. Fascinating situation. Obviously wish Kristin all the best, regardless of what she decides to do moving forward. She's been an incredible good for the sport. She's pushed the FPO division in a massive way in just a couple of years because of how much crushing she did of everybody. It forced everybody else to raise their game, and they have. I think her success aligning with kind of the COVID boom was extremely beneficial to many parties. The professional side, the media side, the disc sales side, and she deserves all the success that she's had as a sort of ambassador as much as she is for being a player. So certainly hope to see her around, and that this is just and that she's happy with whatever she decides to do moving forward.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, Steve Dodge joins us to talk playoffs and the MVP Open. So stay with us. It's the Upshot. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Restock alert. Octos are back in lots of new colorways. They've got a blackout bag that's shipping immediately. So if you want the all black zippers, black everything, you can order that right now at pounddiscgolf.com. They've also got pre-orders available for the steel and sage colorway, the coffee and steel, that's a really nice looking one, and the clay and navy. Of course, the Kevin Jones and Casey White signature bags also available right now to ship today. So head over to pounddiscgolf.com, get your order in either for a bag today or a bag in November if you want one of these new colorways. So get your pre-orders in. Joining us now on the Upshot is Steve Dodge. He is the founder of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He is also the purveyor of the Maple Hill Disc Golf Course and the tournament director of the MVP Open. Steve, it's great to have you back on the pod. How are you, my friends?
I'm doing great, Charlie. Josh, great to see you guys. Very excited for the finish to the season.
Well, you're getting me fired up with your little vantage point here. It looks absolutely beautiful there today. And by the time we get to MVP in a week and a half, I'm guessing we'll see some of those leaves turn a little bit more.
I don't know if the leaves, maybe some of them. I wouldn't bet on a lot of them. But yeah, Maple Hill has, I don't think she's ever looked more beautiful than she does now. And in about a week, she's going to look even better.
Well, we'll talk about MVP in a moment, but you emailed me and you said, hey, I want to talk about the playoffs and how we've changed the playoffs and why they're better now. So I guess I want to hear you make the case. And I'm super curious if you had a hand in changing some of the format stuff for the playoffs for the Pro Tour. And, what's got you excited this year?
Well, I will say I genuinely wish that I had a hand, but this was all Pro Tour, and I think it's all very good. I feel like I was listening to a podcast called The Upshot maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and somebody said, "What's the point of the playoffs? They're just tournaments. You have to count the points. It doesn't do anything." And I agreed with that. But my hope was that we would grow into whatever the playoffs would become. And this year, I think we've taken the first significant step. And I hope that the Pro Tour continues to take steps in this direction. And I actually have a goal that I would love to pitch them to get to, and we'll see if it happens. So the idea here is, in America, probably in every sport, I shouldn't say America, when you're in the playoffs, you win and you advance, and you lose and you go home. And that's that. With the way that our season is, I'm not 100% sure that the number one person should be eliminated in the first playoff event if they don't succeed. So I can see that there's potential for conversation, and that's what the Pro Tour is doing. At the MVP Open, 40 men will advance to the Tour Championship, and 20 women will advance. So we've got the top 28 in Tour points that will advance to the Tour Championship from the MVP Open. Additionally, the top 4 finishers, not including those top 28, will get a chance to advance. So if you come into the MVP Open and you are 72nd in Tour points, you're not out of it. Last year, you were out of it. This year, just finish in the top 4 outside those top 28. So basically, if you're in the top 32, you're probably moving on. That's probably not quite true. Some of those guys are going to finish below. But
yeah, but it's a good point.
4.
Like if you're a top 25 finisher, you're very likely to advance to the Tour Championship.
Exactly right. And that to me is very, very exciting. And if I was going to push, I would say I'd like the number to be the top 16 in Tour points automatically advance. And after that, you've got to finish in the top 16, not counting those. And then the playoffs matter. Yeah. Then they matter like a lot because you've got
perhaps,
some really
perhaps too much at that point, I think. But I hear you.
The pendulum swings.
I think.
Go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead,
no, you go.
Okay. All right. Let me offer. I want to offer one. Because I was thinking the same thing as Steve. I was like, I wish we could do more than 4. Right? I wish it could be. But here, I think might be the trick to it is maybe in order to do so, like you have to. It's a combination of GMC and MVP. So we make it an aggressive 16 cut. Where only top 16 guaranteed in, then it's the next 16 out based on combined finish of GMC and MVP. That minimizes your randomness just a little bit. Yeah. But it still gives but if you show up and you play really well at both events, then you're in, right? It does prevent the maybe one and done scenario. Like, oh yeah, I played great at MVP. I have not finished out inside the top 50 the rest of the season, but now I'm in the Tour Championship. It says no, you got to finish inside the top 25 twice in order to really get, or in this case maybe even top 35 or 40. But I'm with Steve here. I want to continue to move towards this idea that the playoffs are like they are in other sporting events. I mean, they're high stakes. They're important. That's maybe a little more consistent with like a 7-game series sport, right? NBA or NHL.
I think if you're going to do all that, you got to have tighter fields for both tournaments. And like, I don't know if there's really an appetite for that. Because people are already complaining that the Northeast gets short shrift for like the local pros and whatnot who don't get to play in these tournaments the way that they used to. I'm sure you hear that a lot, Steve.
I do hear that, and that's a separate topic that I think is valid. But I want to ask one question of both of you first. Number one, do we like the idea of the extra 4 being able to just earn their way in because of how they play in the playoffs themselves?
100%.
Yes.
Okay.
The MVP is going to be the most exciting playoff event we've ever had since the iteration of this format.
And like it's going to be an interesting challenge for the production team. I mean, depending on scores, but you know, they're going to have to show you who's going to try to win the tournament, but they're also going to have to show you who's going to try to qualify for the Pro Tour Championship. Because like I genuinely care about that versus like random cut. You know, are they going to make the cut stuff? I'm like, okay, like it's something to show on day 3. But it's not necessarily super interesting. But like this will genuinely be like the more interesting component, especially if Gannon Burr is up ahead by 10 strokes. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying.
He's never won here. It'll be exciting to see. This is going to be, well, I want to say, first of all, we don't have a cut. We are a playoff event, and so we don't actually have a cut.
Right.
So even no matter how you're doing, you have an opportunity to jump up in that last round.
Change that. It's dumb not to have a cut for a 4-round tournament.
I disagree with you, Charlie. If you want to do it strongly. And the reason for that is we have such a small field. You have 72 people. If you made a cut down to 40%, you'd have a 30-person field. And when you're trying to get spectators to come out and watch, 30 people is not a lot to tell the 8 holes, okay, go out there, and now you're going to watch for an hour and a half, and everybody's by.
That's a genuinely good point.
It's the only good point I've ever heard not to have a cut.
and that's, we had, this was a long conversation we had about 2 or 3 years ago when the Pro Tour tried to make a cut. And I actually put a tournament inside of our tournament just to fill the empty time so that everybody sitting out on the course would have people to watch. And nobody had any idea what was going on. But there were some extra people playing. And if my memory serves me correct, I think Sam Streeter and Daphne Chen won that mixed double contest.
I mean, if there's a cut, the 8 holes are not going to be able to get drunk enough by the time the lead card gets there. So
Exactly right. I'm really proud of the fans at Maple Hill that camp out at locations. There's people that camp out at 1. There's people that camp out at 8, at 14, at the Color Place on 11 and 13. And we're actually developing other spots too, where we're going to start putting food and beer to try to lure people over to new spots. That's, in my opinion, for Woods Golf, that's the way that we can get a lot of people on a course like Maple Hill.
So, sorry. Go ahead, Steve. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to go back to the point here, which is the playoffs. And Josh, when I said 16 and 16, you pushed back a bit. So maybe the number's 8. But it feels like 4 is too small, and maybe 16 is too big. I'll quickly concede that, because as soon as you say that, you're like, look at the guy who's 17th, or the woman who's 9th, and
it feels harsh to eliminate that many more people from a season-long performance because of how they played at one tournament.
Right.
But I will be really curious. I think one of the exercises that we should do, and I say we are going to do this on the Upshot, is take a look at, okay, who are the 4 that qualified? Who would the next 4 have been? Who would the next 8 have been? And see, like, where does the reasonable cutoff seem like it is? Because at some point, like, enough people play in these tournaments that you can be a pretty marginal player and get an opportunity to play in MVP Open. And then if you have one good weekend, you get the good chance to go try to play for, $30, $40, $50,000. Feels a little aggressive, but I love the idea of some path. And I think 4 is a very good starting point to see how it goes, how it makes a tournament feel. Does it make it feel invigorated? And then we can kind of assess after that.
Agreed. And it's funny because I would have started at least 8, maybe 16, and people would have said, that's insane. And there's a reason that I'm not in charge. I will agree with you, Charlie. I think 4 is the perfect starting point because it introduces the idea without radically changing things. And I look forward to that analysis.
Okay, so we had some conversations last week about predictions for where we think 2028 majors will be and bids that might come in. And I can't believe we didn't even think about it, but somebody made the recommendation about Maple Hill. And they said it in the context of like Worlds and finding an opportunity for a temporary course. But I want to expand it to any major. And I'm just curious, Steve, are you planning on submitting bids for any upcoming majors? With Champions Cup still not really having a home, have you considered trying to host Champions Cup at Maple Hill?
So you guys could probably go back to all the times that we've talked and this question has come up, and I have consistently said I do not want to host Worlds at Maple Hill.
I thought I remembered that, so that seemed right.
My next word is however. UC Maresma did an insane job on Worlds in Europe, and it actually got me so excited for the opportunity for what Worlds can be. And I'm guessing he had insane support from the PDGA. He had his normal insane organizational skills and fundraising, and they got more people at a disc golf tournament than we've ever seen, period. And I want to do that. So this is the first time I've ever even had the thought about hosting Worlds at Maple Hill. I don't have any plans for submitting a bid for 2028, but I will say at League last Tuesday, I was talking about it with my card mates, and they were just like, we have a lot of good courses around here, and we could have a really good sister course to host Worlds at some point. So I'm interested in that. What I'm actually interested in is how successfully UC changed my opinion of hosting Worlds. Regarding the Champions Cup, in my opinion, the Champions Cup, and we talked about this in like 2017 and 2018, and it was I actually think we were going to implement it in 2020 or maybe 2019, but all of the wheels fell off of our bus, and so we didn't have any legs to stand on regarding making this happen. But the idea was rate all of the Pro Tour events and take the number one rated Pro Tour event from the previous year and make that the Champions Cup for the next year. And then do that in perpetuity. So the Champions Cup would move around and it would always have a high quality home. And it would encourage tournament directors. I want to be the best. We had some sort of rule where you couldn't do it you had to wait 3 years between hosting it. So you couldn't do it all the time. But like, I want to be the best so I can host this major. The one problem for me with that is the way that the naming convention went. Out at the OTB by MVP became the Champions Cup, and I think it was presented by OTB, but that wasn't part of the name. And I feel like it should be the Champions Cup at the OTB Open by MVP. And I think it would be critical to incorporate the name of the event that it's eclipsing for 1 year. And that's just me wanting the MVP Open by OTB to make sure it gets all of the street cred it needs.
OTB Open by MVP, MVP Open by OTB, Champions Cup by MVP Open at OTB. Like, Steve, you cannot be advocating for longer tournament names.
Charlie, so we actually have a disc golf day coming up as our kickoff party. And I didn't expect to be able to do this segue so perfectly, but I'm going to.
Perfect.
And it is called the East Coast Metal Roofing Disc Golf Day at Polar Park, an MVP Open by OTB kickoff party.
No notes. So, he knows it right off the top of his head.
If you are going to have a long name, in my opinion, you need to fully embrace it. And arguably, our sport could be known for having ridiculously long events.
Well, tell us more about what's in store for this year's MVP Open by OTB, and notable changes, fun new things you got going on. You know, you always got something you're working on.
So It's funny. I don't even know where to go first, but we have a new partner for Maple After Dark called Glow Labs, and they are going to have these amazing charging stations at every tee. And if you've ever played night golf, you know that putting your flashlight on the disc is kind of a pain in the butt. So this, you just stick the disc in and it goes kapow, and then your disc is like supercharged. So, and he's got a lot of other stuff too, but I'm very excited about Maple After Dark. I'm also very excited. Have you seen the Ditto Flight thing that Simon Lizotte threw with on his YouTube channel? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's a robot. Okay, so he threw against a robot on one of these YouTubes, and wow, that made me sound super old the way I said that. I wonder why it made me sound that way. So anyway, Ditto Flight is going to be here on Saturday night, and it's going to be taking the form of Glowbot, and you get to come and write down the parameters for the disc, and then it'll launch your disc, and you try to get a CTP. So I'm very excited to see how that goes off. And again, those discs will be all supercharged, and you'll be seeing them fly over the day. But regarding the tournament, we have 3 or 4 really big course changes. The first is hole 1, the island green, the peninsula green, has changed shape, and it is now basically an L, about 80 feet long and 60 feet wide. So that when you go through Chipmunk Gate, if you want to have an easy putt, you have to challenge OB after you go through Chipmunk Gate. And there happens to be a pretty big oak right on that corner. And I'm very excited to watch people navigate hole 1. The average on hole 1 was 3.85 last year. I expect it to go up a little bit, but the top cards will still be going for that birdie, and I'm excited to watch them punch in there and make their putts. The next big change was hole 9, Diamond T. The women, if you remember, the women on that hole played a significantly different hole than the men. They played the traditional up the hill, down the hill. And we've moved their tee to about 150 feet in front of the men's tee. We like that fairway much better. It gets you to the landing zone much more consistently. You can actually control the shot. So I'm really excited to watch the women on 9 Diamond, and I think they're going to have a much better time. And the fun part for me there is that the women are going to be placing their drives in such a spot that they have to make a decision as to whether they're going for the green. Are they going to go for the birdie? Because their disc will more likely be in a better spot. So I'm excited to watch that decision making. And I think the scoring average on that hole will likely go down, presuming that we have some wonderfully aggressive play. Hole 10, we moved the tee pad for the men. The 3 primary reasons for this are to get the tee pad off the road, because driving over it beats it up really fast. Number 2, we wanted to be able to get more spectators to be able to watch the drives. And number 3, we wanted a hole that was that allowed for a higher percentage of the field to reach the basket. And so we made it a little shorter, and we made it a gut shot between 2 trees. So it's probably, it's probably about 100 feet short, maybe 80 feet shorter. And I'm going to say 80% of the field will be able to reach the castle, but they have a tougher shot between those trees. So I think we're going to see more birdies and more bogeys, which for the spectators is always more fun. Maybe, I don't know about the players. I feel like they'd like that. And then the last change is hole 17 diamond. Hole 17 gold. I've always wanted hole 17 to have some teeth. And in the past 4 or 5 years, hole 17 was our second or third easiest hole. And it felt really silly for someone to be up by 2 on hole 17. And they're just like, well, I just go birdie and then par and I win. And as James Proctor proved, if you're up by 2 on the last hole, you have an easy victory. So hole 17, we moved the tee back. The drive is now probably a 300-foot tunnel shot to get out into the opening. And at the Cosmic Open, our springtime A tier, it and hole 9 were the hardest holes on the course. So hole 17 now has some teeth. If you have a 2-throw advantage going into the last couple holes, you do not have it wrapped up.
Love that. That's a nice change.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How much money can you win at the crazy shot thing this year?
Oh, it's the 20K CTP giveaway. We give the vast majority to the players, and then we hand out $100 bills like they're water.
Good stuff.
So if you buy a ticket to sit on the bleachers, you've got a good chance of walking away with $100.
How much are tickets?
I think it's $20 to sit on the bleachers, and there's a 1 in 5 chance you'll win $100.
Okay. I was curious if you were charging them like $105.
It's a neutral EV bet. You might as well do it.
Exactly.
You get that's not even factoring in entertainment.
Exactly.
And you get exactly. And you get to sit on the bleachers, and you get to be a part of everybody going crazy and Big Germ yelling at you.
All right. Well, how's ticket sales going? It seems like things have been a little sluggish up in Vermont, so I'm curious how they are for you at Maple Hill.
So we actually track it week to week and compare how we're doing ticket sales
year over year. Okay.
Yeah, year over year. And last year we had a tremendous bump at the beginning of the sales season. They started selling tickets in wave 3, March or April, and we had probably 30 to 40% of our ticket sales in that first month, which was crazy. And we didn't have that this year. So all year we've been playing catch up. And I will say, about 3 months ago, we were at about 70% of what our sales were the previous year. Our goal was 110%. So I don't know if anybody watched any of those 100-day countdown videos, but that was inspired by this 70% number. We felt like people just needed to remind people how great this event is, how much fun it is to be here. Oh, I do have another thing that I want to touch on, but we've improved the food a lot. I'll just say that. So if you come to this year's tournament and you've been saying, hey, you need better food, thank you for saying that. We've got much better food. And so we started that 100-day promotion, and we are now at 96% of ticket sales year over year. So with a good little put, and somehow we have an extra week. So it's it's kind of weird. I think I might have been off a week in my calculations. But so with a good little push here at the end, we will be able to eclipse what we did last year. I don't think we're going to get to the 110 number, but that's still our goal, and we'll keep pushing. Maybe if some people have me on their podcast, we'll have a good shot at getting there.
Obviously, I'm sure you found out right along with everybody yesterday that Kristen is not going to be back for the end of the season. I know she wasn't planning to come to MVP anyway, but also not going to start the season next year. Just curious for your thoughts on this. It's kind of the biggest pro side news we've maybe had all year.
I read her post, and it made me truly happy. I think, my journey in starting the Pro Tour got me to a point where I finally realized the most important thing is being true to yourself. Once I finally did that, I was able to let go, and I was able to appreciate what I had, and I was genuinely happier. I'm actually getting goosebumps thinking about how impactful this decision was for Kristen, and I'm excited for her to be a happier, more complete person. If she's able to do that on a disc golf course while we're all watching, all the better. But if not, I'm gonna be a fan of hers forever anyway.
Well, Steve, I hope you know, at least to the world around you, I think you're the most genuine person I have ever met. And I was thinking, when I was getting ready for the show, I was like, man, all I got to do is just say, hey, Steve, what's up with MVP Open? And I will get, and that's the show. It's all I need. It's all I need. I love that story. Thank you.
And I love I mean, just thinking about the journey that Kristin took to get there, that had to be difficult.
Of course.
And wow, I'm so happy that she ended up where she did, which is where she needed to be.
Yeah. That's an incredible 3 years of disc golf from Kristin.
Yeah.
All right. What are you most looking forward to down the stretch here in disc golf? If you have more on that, go ahead.
I just want to say that I really wish Kristin had won here at MVP because she got second the last 3 years, all 3 years in heartbreaking fashion. She might have lost by one each year. It might have been two to Haley. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, that it kind of breaks my heart a little bit that she didn't get any of those wins. But MVP is Maple tests people in different ways. Everybody's going to have some bad luck out here, and that you just have to be able to deal with that. Not to bring it back to me, but I remember.
Go ahead. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead. No, finish.
I want to say I was playing League last week. I've started playing disc golf much more regularly this year, which is super fun again. And playing League last week, 2 of the first 3 holes, I got what I thought were the worst possible things in the world that could happen to a disc golfer, and I've seen Kevin Jones, so that means something. And but I was like, okay, you got 15 more holes, go ahead and play, and I managed to pull it or to turn it around and turn it into a good round. Although the bad kicks were made up a few times. I did get some good kicks towards the end, so it all worked out. But I do want to touch on the word luck and fluke if we can do that later. But Josh, what was your question?
I'm going to offer a conspiracy theory here. I'm trying desperately and just cannot do it. I cannot picture Kristin jumping in the pond. She intentionally just took second 3 years in a row so she didn't have to jump in the pond. That's my conspiracy theory.
Okay. I can picture her doing that, and I bet the AI can picture it too.
So, Steve, you wanted to touch on luck and flukiness and I don't know, in disc golf and life. I'm not sure, but go ahead.
Well, I think that Gannon Burr mentioned that Maple Hill might be fluky, and I wanted to put forward an argument that Maple Hill is not fluky. Maple Hill potentially increases luck, but it is not fluky. For me, fluky means that I throw the shot that I want to throw, and I don't know what's going to happen. And at Maple Hill 4 or 5 years ago, before we took out literally 100 stumps out of the fairways and before we put so much mulch down, yeah, you could get some odd kicks from the middle of the fairway. But those have pretty much been removed. And the only hole we could think of that had any kind of what we considered fluky was hole 13, where you're throwing like a 400-foot shot downhill, and at about 370, you're asked to go in between 2 trees that are 10 feet apart. Yeah, that's asking, I think, way too much of accuracy. And once you get down there, that is fluky. So we are actually going to have on days 1 and 2, we're actually going to have a short pin on hole 13 that is right about where those trees are. So that removes the fluky factor because you're going to want to stop the disc there instead of trying to fly 100 feet past those trees. We're going to see how the players react to that. On days 3 and 4, it'll be the standard pin, but we are open to the idea of moving that pin forward and removing the fluky from that one hole. And if you miss your line, at that point, luck comes into it. And luck happens in all sports, except chess, maybe. And so if you miss your line by an inch, you could kick left. And if you miss your line by 6 inches, you just stop right there. You miss your line by 9 inches, you kick right, and you miss your line by a foot, you go around the tree and hyzer back in. And that's luck. That's, in my opinion, that's luck, not fluke. And I want to push back on someone saying their course is fluky when I think it does. Woods golf does bring in a higher luck factor.
All right. We're clipping that for social media, 100%. Steve, thank you so much. We're really looking forward to these next couple of weeks. You want to make any quick predictions on who's taking down MVP Open this year?
Well, so we make poker chips each year that people can go to the Northeast Women's Disc Golf booth and buy. And I think it's $5 for a poker chip. And if the people on your poker chip win, you win $50 to spend at their booth, which is a super fun way to not gamble. And we make the poker chips based on their positions after Worlds, their Pro Tour rankings after Worlds. And I was making the poker chips, and one of the poker chips has Paul Macbeth on it and Paige Pierce on it. And they've both won this tournament multiple times. They've even won it together multiple times. So I'm going to pick that poker chip, and I'm going to say Paul Macbeth and Paige Pierce. We're going old school here at Maple.
Throwback. All right, Steve. Awesome. Appreciate your time as always, and good luck with the tournament. 2 weeks.
Thank you both very much. And if you love food trucks, this is the place to be.
All right. Steve Dodge with us here on the Upshot. MVP Open starts, a week and 2 days from now, the 25th of September. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Upshot. We're running a little long today, but that's great because we're only going to do one show this week because the Green Mountain Championships starts on Thursday. So we're going to get our preview in right now and make our picks and get you ready for the start of the DGPT playoffs. So we already obviously talked about it a bunch with Steve Dodge, but just noting the DGPT playoff scenario, like the qualifications for this event, up to 100 MPO players and 50 FPO. They didn't actually quite fill the tournament. I think it's around 89 MPO and 43 FPO right now. But you had to be top 100 after the Worlds. And then I think they opened it up to top 120. So, all the players at this tournament have to have been playing so far this season and playing well. Then you can advance to the next round if you're top 72 after D-Glow in the rankings, or you finish top 8 at GMC and you're outside that number. So that allows you to then advance to MVP, where we then talked about all of that with the MVP to Pro Tour Championship situation. So you can advance from now all the way to the Pro Tour Championship just by playing well these next two events. They're also worth a lot of points, so we could see changes just in that auto-qualify top 28 MPO, top 18 FPO standings over the next two events. Josh, with all that said, the real draw for me is not the playoffs this weekend. It is the Vermont Disc Golf.
Oh, man.
We've had a couple of Worlds here over the last 7 years, and we're back at Fox Run and Brewster Ridge, and not a ton of changes to the course. They're going to tighten some OB. They're going to change little things here and there. But for the most part, we know what to expect, and Jeff Spring told us about a couple of the small changes.
Yeah, make sure to go check out the Jeff Spring interview a couple of weeks ago if you want to hear a little bit more from him about the tournament. But I love this tournament. This to me is, I love Ledgestone, and I think as an event, Ledgestone does a lot of things and gets it really does a lot as an event. But as a tournament, I really think nothing holds a candle to the Green Mountain Championship. Early fall in Vermont, one of the two just gorgeous courses that are fun, that are interesting to watch. I love watching Brewster Ridge. Fox Run is a great open course. This is the tournament that I remember like made me fall in love with disc golf and professional disc golf and watching it. And so always excited when this event comes around, and definitely one of those historic ones. Hosted Worlds past several times over the past decade. And so it's a well-established course with a lot of history, and excited to be back. That's for sure.
It's a great combo too. I mean, you get the tight woods course, lots of elevation. You get the big sweeping open shots of Fox Run. You have a lot of different stuff on display. It's absolutely beautiful in Upper Vermont at this time of year, pretty close to the Canadian border up at Smuggler's Notch. And I mean, if you live in the Northeast, you could just on a whim decide, you know what, I'm going to go up and catch the weekend. Cause like, it's just going to be so spectacularly beautiful.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Let's take a look at the weather for this weekend. I haven't actually looked. 60 and sunny on Saturday, 71 and sunny on Sunday. Not much wind. And it's going to be sunny and pleasant the entire week. It doesn't look like there's much of a chance of rain at all. Absolutely no chance of rain over the weekend. What a dream.
I love watching disc golf in the rain, not for this event. Like, don't ruin it. Don't ruin the canvas that is the Green Mountain Championship. It's great on its own.
Let's see what I'm going to look at the live foliage map right now. See where we're at for Upper Vermont. We're already into low color, and we might hit moderate color by the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, that'd be so great.
So you're gonna get some fall colors if you head up there, and it's basically in the mountains. Yeah. So it'll be a little more color. Yeah. Cannot wait. Yeah. Oh, what a dream. Josh, last year, Kristin beat Silva in a playoff.
Heartbreaking playoff.
Maybe the first time that Silva got her heart truly crushed by Kristin. It then happened like 2 or 3 more times. But that was tough. Like Silva just needed to be in bounds on 18. Didn't happen. They go up the hill in the cart, and it's like Kristin smiling and looking happy, and Silva looking like a deer in the headlights. And then Silva misses the C2 putt and rolls out of bounds, and that was all she wrote. But Silva was way out in front of everybody else, and she's got to be considered the favorite this weekend.
Yeah, it sets up really well. There's a lot of opportunities for circle 2 putts, edge of circle, especially, I think about Brewster, and there are several holes that playing to the edge of circle is just such an easier ask. You don't have to get it quite the right shape at the end of the flight. You get to pull back on the distance just a little bit, so you get to play with a little bit more control, and that gives Silva a massive advantage when putting becomes an important element of the game. And I really think, Fox Run, you talk about those sweeping shots, they require control, but there's the room that Silva can throw whatever shape she wants to get the distance that she needs. And I think that there's a big benefit for her in that as well. And so it's going to be really exciting. I fully expect the likes of Missy, Own, they'll be showing up. Haley King has played really well here in the past. Holland, can't count her out. I think we could have a really, really exciting showdown in our hand in FPO.
Meanwhile, over in MPO, Gannon Burr beat Ricky Wysocki by 7 strokes last time around. Whoa.
Give him the trophy.
It was a crazy performance. Obviously the form Gannon's in, plus what he did here last year, he will be the heavy favorite to win. We know other people can play really well here. We've seen Isaac Robinson play great here, of course, winning a Worlds. Chris Dickerson has played really well. Macbeth, Ricky. I don't think it's like a foregone conclusion, but Gannon's surely, around a 50% to win.
I was about to ask, would you give Gannon in the field even odds?
About, yeah.
I think so too. Yeah. It just feels so inevitable. It really does. And you're right. There are other people that could win, but beating Ricky by 7 here, where Ricky plays well, look out.
All right, it's time to make our picks. Let's do it. I will go first this week.
Okay.
I'm going Silva, Missy, Holland. I'm trying to shoot for a perfect podium.
Okay.
I think those players have as good a chance as any. I think Silva's pretty clear favorite to win. Maybe not as prohibitive as Gannon. Probably around the 30 to 35% mark. And then I've got Missy and Holland. I really want to put Owen up there too. I definitely think she could play great, especially Brewster. She was right up the top last year on the podium, so won't be shocked. But I'm going to go with I love the way Missy's playing right now, and I think Holland has showed that she's back in form.
Yeah. Listen, I think those are probably the right picks. But I'm taking picks that are going to score points different from you. It's pure strategy at this point. Give me Silva, Owen, Haley.
Haley having a great tournament would be awesome.
Yes. I'm not, and I don't think I'm reaching too far, right? I'm not digging down at the bottom to find something crazy. I'm just saying the rest of the chalk, like if you had to pick the top 5 players at this tournament, it feels like it's going to be this group. And so, maybe we're disrespecting Evelina or Hannah a little bit too much, but I feel like it's going to be these 5. And so my hope is just that I'm getting the right side of the podium.
I will say it may be an error for me not to take Haley simply because she is currently a 5Xer.
It's too late.
And she hasn't missed the top 10 this entire season.
Now
she hasn't played very much.
It's locked in, Charlie. You don't get to make.
You know what?
You don't get to
I will
change.
take my perfect podium bonus instead. Thank you.
Watch Haley win.
Oh God, that's like a worst case scenario.
25 points. I think I catch you if that happens.
I would be surprised. She's not playing enough to come out
agree.
and win.
I agree.
All right, who you got in MPO?
Yeah. MPO. I got Gannon Burr. Who do I think you might take? Well, I think you're going to take Ricky. So even though I think Ricky could do well, I'm not going to take Ricky. I'm taking Isaac Robinson. World champion Isaac Robinson won his first Worlds here. I don't think I need to say more. And then I'm going to go Calvin as my other one. Is that your picks? Should I match you just to ruin your life? You stop it.
No, I won't do that. I'm going to go Gannon, Ricky, Macbeth.
Okay.
I'm shooting for perfect podiums.
Honestly,
I'm trying to get my orb back out, seeing the future. I just like the way those guys are playing right now, and I'm keeping it simple. Hey, by the way, last round of match play before the championship event.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of win the match and get in matches.
Okay.
Ricky is playing Ezra Aderhold, winning in.
Winning in for both of them?
Yes, because they're playing each other.
Well, obviously, duh.
Katrina and Cat Merch, the cat battle, winning in.
Winning in.
So, just a note that will be something to watch, and I guess they play that tomorrow, right? It's got to be tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
Let's tell the people when it is. Hopefully,
well, Charlie,
the info is up on the website.
FPO broadcast is going to start at 9 a.m. Eastern. MPO broadcast is going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern.
There you go. So that's the match play. And then I think those will probably also be the times for the regular disc golf. Well, likely, at least they're 9 a.m. start for the broadcast on Thursday for round 1.
Yeah.
So you got everything you need to know. We're going to wrap up here. If you have thoughts on Kristin or anything else, playoffs, shoot us an email, upshot@ultiworld.com. We'd love to hear from you. And we would love for you to join the Ultiworld subscriber family, get into the Discord, join us for a live chat, and then the live rapid reacts that we're going to do on Sunday night. So have a great week, everybody. We got pod, match play, tournament, reacts. It's a great time. Josh and I are going to be locked in this weekend. Have a lovely week, everybody, and we will talk to you on Sunday if you're a subscriber right here on The Upshot.